Coronation! Procession! Quick march!
The 7 regiments of the British Army's Household Division have had a year like no other.
Everyone happy?
Yes, Corporal.
2-1 Alpha, 2-1 Bravo.
As both frontline soldiers and masters of tradition.
You're not closing up on the far side!
You definitely know they're coming, don't you?
Yes.
Come on, get off the horse.
This year, we go behind closed doors during one of the busiest and most important periods in its ancient history.
It's a bit crazy trying to speak to everybody when there's so many people on the streets, but, you know, that is London.
As they take part in groundbreaking field operations.
It's quite intimidating. This would be the most difficult train I would have driven on.
As well as delivering the biggest national celebrations in generations. Including the King's Coronation.
We've got to get a move on. The Gold State coach is in danger of stopping, and that's mission failed.
And his first trooping the colour.
To some people it will seem absolutely ridiculous, but there is nothing that fills you with as much pride.
Quick march!
This is a year of the King's Guard. This year, the 7 regiments of the Household Division have had one of the most demanding and high-pressure periods since World War II.
Never before have the regiment had a ceremonial season quite as busy as this one.
With 3 historic events in this unique year, as a new king takes to the throne.
This is the first major parade that I'm going to be involved with, so I'll be lying if I said I wasn't a little bit apprehensive.
And operationally, as conflict again rages in Europe, they are in more demand than ever before.
We wish we could be on the ground with you in Ukraine, fighting side by side.
This year, the regiments are being challenged like never before.
It was by far one of the most stressful moments of my life.
No sharpshooter!
We have a dual role, to be ready for operational deployment and to guard members of the royal family at the royal palaces.
Longer term, it's all the big state ceremonial locations, clearly the Coronation, the big one this year. The Coronation is just on a totally different scale. It's sort of double the size of Her Late Majesty's funeral, triple the size of the Queen's Jubilee. So that's the difference. It is just so much bigger.
The King's Coronation will take place on some of the busiest streets in central London. Despite his decade of experience planning ceremonial events, this will be the biggest Garrison Sergeant Major Vern Stokes has ever had to organise.
It's a bit crazy trying to speak to everybody when there's so many people on the streets, but, you know, that is London. So I've spent a lot of time putting out a great deal of chalk marks on the ground. That tells everybody where groups of people are going to either start on the procession or where they're going to line the route from.
To ensure the event runs smoothly, Vern needs somewhere with a bit more space. So to practice for their first coronation in over 70 years, 4,000 troops from all over the UK have travelled to RAF Odium in Hampshire for their first full-scale rehearsal. And Vern Stokes has recreated the exact dimensions of the coronation route.
We are now in Parliament Square, and directly behind me is Westminster Abbey. On my right shoulder, we're looking down Whitehall, so Downing Street will be on your left. You can see a coned area, which will be the cenotaph, so it's all measured out and chalk marked. So it's as accurate as we can be.
Many of the troops have never done anything on this scale before. But for Vern's plan to work, each of them must be inch perfect.
On the other side of the... No! Stop! 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 The gap here stays here. This is the left-hand side of the road. This is the right-hand side of the road. Where the statues are, that's a void on Whitehall. We don't close that gap, OK? Put yourselves across.
Left dress!
Coronation! Procession! Quick march!
I have to say, I'm delighted to see that it all seems to be working. Everybody's in the same step, doesn't matter where they are, they're listening to the same piece of music, and so far, so good.
One of the tasks for the troops throughout the procession is ensuring that the Gold State coach carrying the King and Queen maintains progress, and they all keep to schedule.
Processions tend to slow down when they go around corners. And it goes through a couple of tight turns. One is from Whitehall through Trafalgar Square onto Admiralty Arch. So if the Gold State coach has to stop because people are slow going around the corner into the Mall, that wouldn't be a good moment.
Would it be able to start again?
With difficulty. Not the kind of difficulty we want to have on the day.
The Gold State coach, mocked up for rehearsal purposes, will be under intense scrutiny on the day and will have to tackle the sharp bend at Trafalgar Square without stopping.
We're asking people to do an awful lot of work, and they've got to keep focused. And what we can't do is have a concertina effect and slow down the Gold State coach and therefore the King. That doesn't have the ability to stop and start. It's just too heavy for the horses to do that. Okay, this needs to be pretty swift to get everybody in.
However, on its first practice run, the Gold State coach is forced to slow down and stop as it catches up with the Coldstream Guards, who are marching too slowly around the infamous corner.
Don't care about them, they'll follow you on. Well, everybody thought the Gold State coach had stopped. The first and the second division halted in front of the white trucks. I think there's a lot to learn from that. It's also quite apparent there's a lot of work to be done.
You need to go forward and round. Everyone doing that, okay?
The Coldstream Guards have been pulled aside for extra attention in an effort to get them up to scratch.
You're fucking moving already. Stand still. Stand still. The line. This line.
We think we do all right, but then they reckon it's not good enough, so we do it again and again.
You stay on the line. Imagine you're glued to that curve. Just back. Keep going.
Everyone just gets frustrated. We'll try and, but no matter how good we thought it was never good enough.
Up, light, up, light, up, light.
But the King's Guard are not just ceremonial figures. In their unique dual role, they spend a proportion of their time in the field preparing for potential mobilization. This year, the Army is running a highly specialized military program, Interflex, a 10-week course to transform Ukrainian recruits into battle-ready platoon leaders. For security reasons, their identities must be hidden.
The intensity of this exercise will build progressively.
Lieutenant Monty Badger from the Irish Guards has been leading part of the training program for the past few months.
So these troops have arrived actually with no prior experience at all. So what that means is they haven't necessarily used a compass before, let alone a weapon. So we have to build a lot of these skills really from scratch. All right, on shore.
Before they return home, Monty and his fellow officers have been trying to prepare them for the horrors of war.
So the troops are just about to go down through what we call the bayonet lane. And the idea is to rev the troops up till they are sort of seething with anger, enough anger that they can basically bayonet their enemy, and then bring them right back down and maintain that control again.
This is your weapon. We are going to close and kill the enemy.
It's judged to be one of the sort of best ways to inoculate them against what they're going to have to potentially do.
What's it used for? To kill. It's used to kill the enemy, isn't it? Fix bayonet! Let's go! Let's go! Enemy! Come on! Get it!
Yeah, they're bearing up pretty well. I mean, you can see some of the guys coming through here are pretty exhausted, and they're doing a good job.
Kill! Let us go! All right, come here. Weapon up, my paw.
Some of you will have to do something very similar to this for real. Well done, guys. You did a pretty good job there. Right?
Thanks.
Slava Ukraine.
Героям слава!
What?
Героям слава!
The Ukrainian recruits only have a few weeks until they must return home to fight for their country. With just 4 days until the King's coronation, 7,000 troops are making their way to London for their final chance to perfect their routine.
The overnight rehearsal is really the opportunity for us to rehearse every aspect of what we want to deliver on Coronation Day. So, apart from daylight, everything else should be exactly the same.
Pretty packed. I think we probably need a few more carriages, to be honest.
See how tonight goes, but there's a lot more practice obviously to be done. Make sure that we get it perfect for the day.
As long as everyone's kit's all right at the other end. I just don't want to get to the other end and my boots are all scratched up.
Well, it's an incredible challenge to get all of those armed forces personnel in, because they're not just coming from one location, they're coming from 5 different locations from across the south of England, so that's quite a challenge. Getting them all into Waterloo in the controlled space, shared with the public as well. We're very early into the night, so we've got quite a bit left to do.
There's quite a buzz in the air. I think people are thrilled to be doing something totally out of the norm. We just need to get going now.
By the right! Quick, march!
It's a real privilege to be part of the overnight rehearsals. When you're marching past Big Ben in Westminster and you see the clock illuminated, there's something quite surreal about that.
It's pretty epic to lead the battalion from Waterloo Station to Wellington Barracks. Visibility with a bearskin's not great at the best of times, but when it's dark, it's even worse. I wanted to look left and right to see, the amazing sight of the River Thames. Trying to remain smart and rigid, I stayed facing my front, but it's very special to do it. And doing it in the real place makes people stand a bit taller, knowing that this is our one chance to get it right ahead of Saturday.
The mile-long procession, with troops from all 3 armed forces, as well as 250 horses and 19 bands, have to await Verne's command before they attempt to move off.
Coronation! Procession! Quick march!
So we try and rehearse every single concept to time to prove the fact that it's going to work on Coronation Day. You wouldn't know any difference apart from the absence of the King and the Queen.
But inevitably, things don't quite go to plan.
There was a few things that went wrong. Some people went the wrong way round the Queen Victoria Memorial at Buckingham Palace Gate. The Commonwealth flags were flanking Procession Group 2. They should have gone and embedded themselves into the street liners to keep the full width of the mall available for everybody that was behind them. But they got a little bit confused and they were too far forward. Well, I'm feeling particularly confident. Lots of debrief points, but I think the plans will survive. For me, it's just a case of making sure that my eye's on the detail, and if we can improve in any way, we'll do that. So feeling really confident.
With thousands of troops in the capital, ready for the historic day to come. On Salisbury Plain, it's army business as usual. Georgia Holbrook is one of the first troopers chosen to drive a brand new Ajax tank. The army has spent billions of pounds on the state-of-the-art vehicles.
My job compared to my friends' jobs at home was rather different. You just say, oh yeah, I just drive tanks around Salisbury Plain, and then they just don't believe you.
Today, after 3 weeks of simulator training, she will be driving the 40-ton tank for the first time as part of her 5-week driving course.
Driving it for the first time was really thrilling in a way, but quite daunting as well.
For security reasons, details of the equipment have been made unidentifiable.
This is completely different from driving a normal car, because obviously the size of it, the weight of it, and you can't exactly go around Salisbury Plain cross-country in a little car. It's a massive difference. I normally drive a Sirocco, so yeah.
She is being assessed by course instructor Dustin Smith.
So what they've learned on the simulators, they're putting into practice on the live vehicle to basically get them competent enough for when they go on exercise in September.
All right, take it nice and steady, OK?
Her first critical test is to get the brand new tank through the densely wooded area.
All right, come round, come round, come round, come round, come round, come round, on, come round, come round, on. Right, go forward, go forward.
As we were going through the wood block, it was quite daunting seeing all the trees quite close together, because when you're in the simulators, you can't really judge the width by looking into a computer screen.
Straighten up, straighten up. Right, come left, come left, come left, stop. Ah, shit.
It was sort of a heart and mouth moment, because you crashed into a tree and you're like, have I failed this course? It's a lot different looking at through the simulators and actually driving on the roads when there's live cars. Practice makes perfect, I suppose. The tree, on the other hand, has seen better days.
This year has witnessed the greatest royal event in 70 years, as King Charles ascended the throne following the death of his mother, Queen Elizabeth II. The major ceremony, being to more than 20 million across the UK, is finally underway inside Westminster Abbey. Meanwhile, in Wellington Barracks, tensions are rising as the Coldstream Guards prepare to escort the newly crowned king back to Buckingham Palace.
We're just about to go out on parade, so this is the big moment now.
I'm not going to lie, a little bit of nerves are kicking in now. I mean, we're probably minutes from stepping off.
Vern is in charge of starting the procession and hoping that his months of hard work pay off.
I waited for the service to finish, and at that moment there, I gave the word of command.
Coronation! Procession! Come back!
I'm very pleased to say that everybody stepped off at the right time.
And even the dreaded corner at Trafalgar Square is negotiated perfectly.
So we turned left under Admiralty Arch, and you could see Buckingham Palace in the distance. Everyone rose a few inches and their chests swelled with enormous pride.
Going up the mount, I won't lie, we were all extremely wet. Everything was absolutely soaked through.
After completing the 3,000 steps from Westminster Abbey, the whole parade assembled in front of the king.
3 cheers for His Majesty, the King, and Her Majesty, the Queen! Hip, hip!
It was so loud, the echo was almost louder than the three cheers. I remember looking directly at the king, and he was overjoyed, and you could see immediately what it meant to him. The three cheers for me is a special moment, and it will stay with me for life. The noise was deafening from the public. The cheers from the people that had filled the mall, it wafted over Buckingham Palace.
Very strange, 6 months of hard work, gone in 6 hours of delivery. But just knowing you're part of such a special day, it was a fantastic moment.
On Salisbury Plain, the Ukrainian recruits are undertaking one of the last parts of their training.
This is Scrutiny Street. Not a particularly Ukrainian name, but they've been given the mission to clear and destroy any enemy in these buildings along here. We've tried our best to kind of add a lot of rubble, burnt out vehicles that try and represent what they could face within Ukraine at the minute.
One of those who will have to return home is Sensei, who has been learning to command a 30-strong troop.
I have no military experience. I was IT engineer at international IT company. We are waiting and fighting for finish this total hell in our land. My girlfriend, my family, my young brother, really, I'm here in the Ukrainian army to protect them.
The urban warfare exercise develops the soldiers' skills, forcing the enemy from buildings and holding them from a counterattack.
Always very hard. However, we are still keep alive and yeah, keep going.
You want to keep putting the pressure on them because it'd be easy to just sit here and let them do whatever they like, but I'm there to add elements of difficulty.
There's about to be an attack launched onto their position. They received an overwhelming force. What we're hoping now, they start to withdraw and then call for support.
Glad it kind of culminates in the way that we were kind of hoping it would. It's a marked improvement. Sensei got on well. He's an incredibly intelligent individual. He's able to really understand a problem and then provide an effective plan. We're really leaning on him heavily to help bring on the other individuals, which is great. You know, you kind of almost have an embedded instructor within their peers.
The Ukrainian recruits have finally finished the platoon commander's course and will be returning home.
We wish we could be on the ground with you in Ukraine, fighting ourselves side by side. So please keep going, and we'll be thinking of you from here. So well done, and Slava Ukraini!
Go well, okay?
My dream, we have peace in Ukraine. When I meet with my girlfriend and family, hug, kisses, of course borscht, nice food. When war will finish, I propose, and for sure she will say yes.
Heading off back to their home country to go and fight a war. I'm really, really proud of the guys, the effort they put in, the willingness to learn where they're going. Some of them might not make it. The team know that, but they're very proud.
Do not close it up on the far side!
With the coronation behind them, the busy King's Guard are preparing for the next major event.
Keep that gap, make sure you keep that gap!
Trooping the Colour, which celebrates the sovereign's official birthday.
Okay, so 6 and 5 guard out of step.
This year will be the first for King Charles, and under more scrutiny than normal.
The King's Birthday Parade is a big event. We don't have a national day. Closest we get to every single year is the King's Birthday Parade, and that's got to be absolutely right.
As well as more than 1,800 guards and musicians, the major event also includes over 200 horses and riders. But this year, there will be a chance for an untested horse to have its first chance at trooping the colour.
Good girl. This is Willow Rose. She's one of the newest drum horses that we've got. Sometimes they are not ready and they need a bit more time, a bit more practice.
Lance Corporal Chris Diggle has had to fast-track Willow Rose's training to give her a chance at her big debut.
We put the drums on and see how they take with the drums on the back. But then sometimes it could be the vibrations that go through, could upset them, things like that. It can be a balance issue sometimes, working it out for herself, how to walk with the distribution of 2 drums going either side on the top.
But it's up to Warrant Officer Dan Evans to decide if she's up to the task in hand.
What we need to watch, she's still a little bit wobbly, so let's make sure she's not doing any silly turns. So let's hear what they sound like together and see how she reacts.
The 2 drum horses must lead the division's mounted band. If Willow Rose misbehaves on the big day, it could throw off the entire procession. So Dan must be sure she can cope with the major event.
If she's moving or adjusting herself, she might be slightly uncomfortable, might be slightly nervous. What we want is a relaxed frame where she's carrying herself well, she's carrying the drum, so all 4 feet on the ground. And the same again, she's not even flinching. A few more exercises and we'll be able to make a decision from there, really.
The most important test is if Willow Rose can stay in time with the other drum horse, Apollo, on a public street, as all eyes will be on them at the front.
So you can see she still starts slow. A lot of good habits, but some bad habits as well.
Dan has seen enough.
You definitely know they're coming, don't you?
And has decided that Willow Rose is ready for her first public outing at the dress rehearsal for Trooping the Colour.
Cool, so with this we can do the ascent, okay? Oh, yeah, okay.
On Salisbury Plain, 22-year-old Georgia is getting ready to become one of the division's first female Ajax tank drivers.
So how are we going to do this then? You're going to keep in first gear? Yeah. So handbrake off and accelerate up, okay? Drive advance.
But first, she must ascend this jaw-dropping incline and stop the 40-ton machine at the halfway point.
You're going up in this huge wagon, and as you're going up, all you can see is the sky. But I was like, sort of scared moment, like I was not up for it one bit.
Apply past the brake. Yep. So what we're going to go through now is a failed descent, okay? Don't worry, it will feel a bit weird, but trust me, it'll be alright, okay?
Okay, I can't see behind me, by the way.
No, I'll be your eyes, okay?
Okay.
Under the watchful eye of her instructor, she now has to reverse down the incline.
When you're going down, you're like, oh God, no, sort of situation. You're reliant onto your commander, and you want to show your commander that you're confident as a driver to do these sort of tasks when it comes and when it needs to be done.
She's made it to the bottom, but now she must ascend the hill again at 40 miles per hour.
Cool, head to advance. Into first.
I was quite happy when it peaked at the top. Just to be able to see stuff again was a really nice feeling.
Georgia successfully rises to the challenge and passes the course. Now she can take part in real combat exercise using live ammunition.
Driving this vehicle, you've just been thrilling, to say the least.
The Ajax tank uses unique technology to assist with locating an enemy on the ground.
As a driver, we've got to have an eyes out at all times. We're trying to find them before they find us. This was the first exercise, not only for this wagon, but the first exercise for the regiment that's happened in quite a while. Being the first lot out on the exercise was just absolutely amazing.
But frontline duties are a long way from the minds of the soldiers at the central London barracks, who have just 1 week till trooping the colour.
You've got shit all over the back of your fucking trousers, that needs to come off.
The first dress rehearsal is about to get underway. With the Prince of Wales in attendance, Willa Rose is wearing the special drums reserved for royalty.
This is the first time Willa's been out on parade in the silver drums, so it's a big day. It's a hot one as well.
The temperature is due to reach 34 degrees, one of the hottest days of the year.
The heat is going to make a lot of us struggle. It's going to be difficult, you know.
It may only be a rehearsal, but the crowds are out in force. And despite the sweltering temperature, the show must go on.
The heat does affect proceedings because it makes it harder work for everybody. The uniforms we wear, they're quite hard work anyway. You add the heat and you're asking people to do quite a lot of activity over a short amount of time, and then we're asking them to stand still for a bit. It's all about blood pressures and people keeping focus, and the moment you switch off, then there's an opportunity for your body to shut down and faint. And that in itself is a lesson that the soldiers have to understand and get through.
The tunics are very thick. You've got heavy tweeds, which are our trousers, and then the bearskin itself. They maintain heat like a fur jacket would.
Obviously, everybody's been told to hydrate, but I have no doubt that today there'll probably be 1 or 2 people that might not make it to the end.
The heat started to affect more people than it usually would.
If somebody says they're going to pass out, the guys left and right of him try and hold him up. But sometimes you can't do it and you just let him go.
It was as we were waiting for the march off that you could see more and more stretchers coming onto the parade. There were points where you were thinking, I could be next.
Right, go. Let's get you on the walker. Okay.
In central London, the countdown until King Charles's first trooping the colour as monarch is on, and last-minute preparations are underway, including for drum horse Willa Rose, who has a special appointment at Clarence House.
A tradition that was started with the drum horses is to let the royal family name them. It's a great honour.
The first female cavalry drum horse has been christened Juno by Queen Camilla, just in time for her starring role. And now, after months of preparation, it's the day of trooping the colour.
And what's the key to staying upright?
There is none. Hope for the best. Don't be soft. Don't be wet. Just don't go down, innit?
The household division will be under the scrutiny of the king, as well as the millions watching round the world. With temperatures rising and a packed Horse Guards parade, the Guards and the newly christened Juno are all rising to the challenge. And the finale of the whole event is a success, as Freddie Hopkinson receives the colour to parade it in front of the king.
Trooping the colour is so important because it's kind of intertwined into the fabric of our country. To some people it will seem absolutely ridiculous, but there is nothing that fills you with as much pride as being on that parade square. And it's something that I won't ever forget.
It was faultless from where I was watching the parade, so I think it was a job well done.
But there's one last job for the year still left to do. The state opening of Parliament is a ritual at the heart of the UK's democracy and has been protected by the Guards for hundreds of years. Preparing for a chance to take part in the grand event is Trooper Joshua Munden.
When I was sort of 11, 12, we came on a school trip to London and we saw the Household Cavalry going past on their watering orders. We went to go watch their parades as well, so we went to go see Change of the Guard and the 4 o'clock inspection, and at that point I knew that was what I wanted to do.
Sit up straight, lean back.
He's been on the elite riding cavalry course in Windsor, but hasn't always been top of the class.
How was that one?
So I was struggling quite a lot with the riding, and then I ended up coming off quite early on in the course. And I injured my back.
Off the floor.
It's quite a difficult one because you're watching all these people you came with sort of get on with it while you're left behind. But it's definitely helped a lot with determination.
And after 15 weeks of training, he's preparing for the most important inspection of his career. Having failed the course once before, there's a lot at stake if he wants a chance of making it to the state opening of Parliament.
I'm dreading it.
This is the pass or fail now. So we either pass today and then we can pass off next week. Or, you know, if it goes downhill and it doesn't go well, that could be us staying here for even longer. Yeah, I want to get to the troops. I want to be able to actually do my job rather than sort of extended pony club. So I'd quite like to get this done and then get out of here.
Today, the class must pass an assessment by the Household Cavalry Mounted Regiment's adjutant, Captain Jamie Bruce Crampton.
I'm mega flapping now. Very, very stressed.
Each detail must be perfect.
You missed my arm. Ow. I'm fucking here. There you go.
The whole premise of the adjutant's inspection is that I can go back to the commanding officer and let him know that all of you have reached the standard to be able to join your troops and to be able to conduct state ceremonial and public duties in front of the eyes of the nation and the world.
Things that I'm really going to be looking for are, for the boots, how smooth the wax job is. So they have a depth to the polish, depth of shine, so that I can be able to see my hand in colour at a distance moving around the boot.
I do fully understand that you will have stayed up late last night polishing every inch of this kit. So for the inspection, across the board, very good turnout, and I look forward to seeing you join us at Hyde Park Barracks for the remainder of the ceremonial season. Thank you very much.
Now at last, 21-year-old Joshua's boyhood dream will come true. It's the state opening of Parliament, and he's hoping to put his best foot forward.
Yesterday, after one of the rehearsals, one of the horses got a bit excitable,
started kicking out, and I managed to clip my toe. So it's got a bit swollen. My nails come off, which is always good. But I'm on quite a few painkillers, so I should be all right to carry on. Yeah, that's all right. This is the one that might. Oh, we're good.
Enjoy it.
Despite his wounded toe, Munden soldiers on, but he still needs to mount his horse.
You know, you've got like 100 odd people behind you watching you. You stress, so you flap a lot more. I don't think it was the. It definitely wasn't the most impressive thing I did, but I managed to go on in the end. So leaving the gate, it's all quite full on. Yeah, it's definitely a case of I looked calm, but in my head I was going everywhere. So going under the arch, it's definitely nerve-wracking. But you also go into a sort of mode where you switch off, and it's all about, you know, what's this horse doing, what am I doing? So you don't really have time to think about it. Coming up to Buckingham Palace, I could start feeling it then, because that's when you sort of walk through. You see every single person there with pictures out, phones out, taking, you know, videos of you. That was the point when I realised, you know, I'm actually finally doing it.
With the eyes of the world upon him, Munden and the 124 cavalry horses safely deliver King Charles and Queen Camilla to the House of Lords for the centuries-old ritual of opening Parliament.
I've just done sort of the biggest thing I've done in my whole life, and coming back to like all your phone going off, all your family texting you saying, oh, I found you on TV. Yeah, it's a really good moment.
3, 2, 1.
Another year for the King's Guard is finally over, with success on the parade square and on the field.
2-1, Charlie, move first!
You are a field soldier, but you're also the ceremonial soldier that stands in the tunic. It is a fascinating thing.
Not a traditional army job. I mean, when you think army, you think combat on the ground with a rifle. I've done that stuff. But being able to have the honour to say that I've escorted Their Majesties, the King and Queen, I think is quite special.
Yeah, we are just custodians of the history, the traditions, the standards for the future. Yeah, if you think somebody was sitting in my place 300 years ago doing this exact same job, and hopefully somebody will be sat in my chair in another 200 or 300 years' time doing this exact same job.
But for Vern Stokes, who has been at the helm of many of the major events, there is particular cause to celebrate.
King's Birthday Honours List were announced at midnight last night, and I was fortunate enough to be appointed as an officer of the Order of the British Empire. So I'm over the moon. I'm absolutely delighted. I couldn't be happier. The Army is great for giving opportunities, and it certainly gave me an opportunity leaving school at 16 with hardly any qualifications from my council estate in Shropshire, and I find myself 35 years later as a Garrison Sergeant Major being awarded the OBE. It's incredibly special just to be recognised. It just fills me with pride. I'm so happy. I'm bursting with pride. I'm so happy.